The countdown already started on August 27 when Archangel Michael detected Satan secretly interfering with your long-awaited answer to prayer, and the shocking reason behind it could flip your world upside down. It was not a date chosen by chance. August 27 was marked in the heavens long before you ever circled it on your calendar. It did not arrive with fanfare, nor did it need thunder or lightning to announce its way. It arrived like a whisper in the middle of your waiting, subtle in appearance, but seismic in meaning. On that day, the heavenly realm moved, and Archangel Michael, the chief warrior of the Lord's armies, stood alert. Not by accident, not by routine, but by divine instruction, because something in the spirit realm shifted. And that shift had your name written on it. For some, August 27 passed like any other. But for the chosen, it triggered a spiritual countdown, not toward disaster, but toward disclosure. For those who have been waiting, interceding, and groaning in the delay of an answer that was once promised, this date marks the moment where heaven uncovered a secret sabotage. The warfare surrounding your answer to prayer did not begin in your life. It began in the unseen, where spirits of resistance gathered to tamper with what had already been released. And it was Archangel Michael who detected the interference, a signal in the heavenlies, a manipulation and occurrence of spiritual movement. The prayer had already been heard, the answer already dispatched, but something, or someone, was disrupting the delivery. Now the mystery deepens. Why would the enemy fight this particular answer so violently? What is it about your breakthrough that stirred such violent spiritual interruption? Could it be that the enemy knows what's on the other side of your yes and fears it more than you understand? But make no mistake, this message is not for everyone. It will confuse the casual listener. It will slip past those not in season. But you, the one who has been still, the one who has noticed the silence of heaven and wondered if something deeper is happening, this is for you. Because only stillness could reveal this. Only silence could expose it. Heaven had to let you wait, not to break you, but to unveil what was happening behind the veil. And now that it's exposed, the countdown has begun. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. Hear this in the spirit. The countdown has begun. Not in earthly hours, but in divine seconds, ticking according to the watchtower of heaven. And it did not begin when you prayed. It did not begin when you cried out. It began the moment the interference was exposed. The moment Archangel Michael pierced the veil and saw the shadow moving where light should have been. This is not poetry. This is prophetic protocol. And today, by the authority of the Most High God and the assignment given to the Archangel of War, you are being briefed in the Spirit. Yahweh, the commander of heaven's armies, stands above the unfolding. Michael, sword drawn, stands between you and what has tried to twist your timeline. And now, you stand here, not in confusion, but in invitation. Not to fear, but to understand. Because the delay wasn't simply a matter of time. It was a matter of targeting. And you were the target. This is why you felt the stillness. This is why your spirit has been unusually quiet. It's not because heaven forgot you. It's because heaven was watching. Watching how you waited. Watching if you would still trust. Watching if the silence would make you flee or focus. And now, the moment of divine interruption. The message comes mid-prayer, not post-breakthrough. This is not the amen of your journey. This is the alarm in the hallway of delay. And if you are hearing this now, it is not by accident. You are hearing this because you are meant to. This isn't for those who casually click. This is for those who have been carrying something in silence, waiting for God to explain what their eyes couldn't see. And now, He speaks. Heaven saw what you couldn't. Michael was dispatched not just to fight, but to report. And what he saw was spiritual sabotage, a tampering with what was already in motion. Your name was on a divine delivery, but someone tried to intercept it. Now feel this in your soul. Within days, the shift will begin to unfold. Not in noise, but in precision. You'll begin to see things realign, people exposed, opportunities rearranged. Not because man moved, but because heaven corrected what was corrupted. But here is your charge. Don't speak too soon. Don't move too fast. This message is only for the chosen, the ones who have been watched in silence. You are not forgot. You are strategically hidden. You are not delayed. You are being divinely positioned. And so now, with holy urgency and trembling authority, I invoke the covering of God Most High and the might of Archangel Michael, who now stands in defense of the words spoken over you. Heaven is not merely watching. Heaven is intervening. Let every dark whisper be silenced. Let every hand of delay be cut off. Let every force that tampered with your appointed time be removed. The countdown has already started. Not to destruction, but to divine disruption. Not to loss, but to launch. Not to death, but to destiny. Now is your moment to listen, not panic. Watch. Pray. And wait, because He who promised is now moving. Type I receive this WARCRY in the comments if this speaks to you. Blessing code 717 is now activated over your atmosphere. There's a weight in the spirit that cannot be explained with human logic. You felt it pressing against your chest in quiet moments. It shows up not with thunder, but with restlessness. The kind of restlessness that disrupts sleep, stirs questions, and awakens you at the same hour of the night again and again. You tried to dismiss it, tried to say it was just spiritual growing pains. But deep down, you knew something wasn't right. Something was interfering. But let it be revealed now. There have been conversations about you in rooms you were never invited into. Whispers, agreements, alignments, decisions made based on assumptions about you, but not on the truth of who you are. You were evaluated by appearance, judged by timing, talked about in absence. But those who schemed against you didn't realize something critical. They know something about you, but they don't know everything. They don't know about the secret oil you carry. They don't know about the late-night prayers you cried through, even when you felt abandoned. They don't know how many times you chose obedience when compromise would have been easier. They don't know that your name has already been echoed in the course of heaven. They don't know that Archangel Michael has been watching them while they watched you. What has been happening in your life is not mere delay, it is spiritual diversion. The answers that were meant to arrive easily were intercepted by resistance. And the confusion you've been feeling, it's not because you lack faith. It's because you've been standing in the tension between promise and interference. This is the mystery few understand. When the enemy cannot cancel the promise, he will try to corrupt the process. If he can't stop what's coming, he'll try to make you question whether it was ever real. He'll stir doubts. He'll use people, not always wicked people, but weak ones. those vulnerable to jealousy, pride, or manipulation. And before you know it, you'll be in the middle of emotional chaos without any visible cause. You've asked, why did they turn on me? You've asked, why is it so hard when I'm doing everything right? You've even questioned, did I miss God? No, beloved. You didn't miss him. You were marked. Marked for revelation. Marked for impact. Marked for a move so significant that hell itself had to step in early to try and sabotage your spirit before the breakthrough hit your life. The mystery is unraveling now. And with each word spoken in this message, I prophesy that the confusion is lifting. Like fog dissolving in morning light, your spirit is beginning to see again. But the betrayal, it was real. The whispers behind your back, they happened. The hidden motives, they existed. But here is what they didn't count on. You were already covered before they made their move. Heaven anticipated it, and Michael was dispatched, not after the interference, but when it was first conceived. You weren't abandoned. You were shielded. You weren't left behind. You were being defended by angels you couldn't see. And the same spirit that allowed the silence is now speaking to you. The delay was not to punish, it was to reveal. Heaven could not bring the answer until the interference was exposed. And now that it has been, the countdown quickens. You are not crazy. You are not forgot. And you are not alone. You are being watched, covered, and remembered. Now walk forward in that mystery, because God is not finished revealing. Type I am anointed in the comments if this mystery speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. The mystery is breaking open, and if this word has stirred your spirit, let me tell you something deeper. When you support this prophetic mission, you're not just giving your sowing into the release of answers across the earth. God is using this message to pull his people out of delay and into divine alignment. When you give, it multiplies light, cancels darkness, and sends the word into places where hope was running out. The oil you release becomes someone else's confirmation. I feel led to tell you, your seed is a prophetic act. Let the Lord lead you. You can partner through the YouTube Super Thanks membership or by sowing directly through the PayPal link in the video description. Bless it. Speak over it. Then watch heaven move. Your giving is breaking open timelines. Type, I sow into divine timing as you obey. Blessing code 1414 is falling like rain. This war was never about inconvenience. It was never about confusion. It was never just about timing or delay. This war is about destiny. And until you see it through the eyes of heaven, you'll keep blaming yourself for battles that were never yours to carry in the first place. The interference that Archangel Michael exposed on August 27 wasn't just some passing demonic detour. It was a calculated, premeditated strike on your spiritual schedule, a strategic assault against your God-ordained transition. The enemy didn't attack your peace for the sake of noise. He attacked your peace because your breakthrough has movement attached to it, and movement scares hell. This isn't a mere test. It is a collision of kingdoms. You were born to shift atmospheres. You were anointed to speak words that break yokes. You were assigned to walk into places and shift the spiritual temperature without saying a word. And the moment your answered prayer was released in the spirit, the demonic radar picked up movement, holy movement, and began organizing resistance to confuse you before you could recognize it was God. But now, the veil is lifting. And here's what you must understand. This delay wasn't random. It was reactive. Reactive to the weight of what you carry. Reactive to the doors that would have opened if your prayer had arrived on time. Reactive to the generational curses that would have been broken had you stepped into that next chapter unbothered and undistracted. Satan doesn't waste energy on empty vessels. He only disrupts what he fears. And child of God, you have no idea how much you are feared in hell. This is why your name was whispered in the courts of heaven, and why it was mimicked in the dark corridors of the demonic realm. Because your next move matters. The answer you've been waiting on. It's more than a blessing, it's a key. And that key would unlock doors for more than just you. That key would shift atmospheres for your family, your region, and generations unborn. So yes, the interference was vicious. Yes, the warfare felt personal. Yes, the silence was deafening. But now you see it. The enemy wasn't after your comfort, he was after your crown. And this is where the power of heaven begins to move differently. Because while the enemy used chaos, confusion, and sabotage, heaven used silence. Heaven used stillness. Heaven watched. Not because it didn't care, but because it was testing your reaction. Would you still obey when it looked like nothing was happening? Would you stay silent when everything in you wanted to explain? Would you remain faithful when the delay made you feel abandoned? This is the sacred test of the remnant. Heaven is watching your reaction. Because obedience is louder than complaining. Stillness is stronger than screaming. And sometimes the most powerful weapon in spiritual warfare is not what you say, it's what you refuse to say. You may have felt invisible, but you were never ignored. You may have felt late, but you were being calibrated for divine impact. And the battle that broke out was not because you did something wrong. It's because you're on the edge of everything God said was yours. The enemy tried to create an alternate narrative, a lie that would keep you second-guessing what was already dispatched. But now, you know. Now, you feel it. Now, you stand under prophetic understanding that what has been fighting you is proof of what's been waiting for you. Let this word settle deep. The interference was a signpost. A signpost that your answer is not only real, it's dangerous to darkness. That's why it's been fought. That's why it's been delayed. And that's why heaven is moving now, because your reaction has been seen, and your obedience has been recorded. Let your spirit rest, warrior. This is not the enemy's narrative anymore. This is a divine announcement. You are still on schedule, because heaven adjusts time to protect what it has spoken. Type "I choose obedience" in the comments if you're ready for the release. Blessing code 2288 is now active over your atmosphere. There is a weight in the atmosphere right now, a thick, almost suffocating pressure in the spirit realm. For those who are sensitive, you've already felt it. You've been walking through your days with an inexplicable tension, as if something unseen is watching, measuring, waiting. That's not paranoia. That's prophetic discernment. Because as the truth has begun to rise, resistance is preparing to retaliate. This message comes to you not just as a word of encouragement, but as a divine intelligence briefing from the throne of God. Archangel Michael, the war-sent one, did not simply detect the interference, he marked it. And the moment interference was exposed, The enemy shifted tactics. You need to hear this clearly. Whenever exposure happens, escalation follows. You are now in the 72-hour window, a spiritual hourglass where hell will attempt one final maneuver before retreating. This is not to provoke fear, but to position you in strategic awareness. The interference has been revealed. The countdown is active. But before your promise can land, the adversary will release a counterstrike of confusion, confrontation, or compromise. And it will not look demonic. It will look personal. Suddenly, conversations will shift. People you thought were allies may begin to question your motives. Invitations will come wrapped in temptation. Accusations may rise from those who were once silent. And all of it is designed to do one thing: pull you out of position. But I need you to listen to this warning. Do not engage the bait. Do not defend what God is about to vindicate. Do not interrupt the countdown with carnal reactions. You are in the most critical hour of your transition. The enemy knows he cannot stop what's been decreed, so now he's trying to make you aborted with your own behavior. The pressure you're feeling is not just spiritual, it's tactical. Heaven has cornered the enemy, and the walls are closing in. That's why he's lashing out. That's why the atmosphere feels heavier. That's why your emotions are being tested like never before. But hear this. The weight isn't a sign you're losing. It's a sign you're winning. The enemy is not pressing because he has power. He's pressing because he's desperate. He's seen what's coming. He's heard your name in the mouth of God. He knows you're hours away from what he fought to keep from you for years. Within 72 hours of the moment Michael struck and exposed the plot, the adversary began deploying distractions, drama, and false doors. But you must be wiser than your emotions. Not everything that knocks deserves your attention. Not every voice that rises should be answered. Not every battle in front of you has been assigned to you. Some things are traps in disguise. Let me prophesy to your spirit. The confrontation is coming, but it cannot conquer you. The conversation is brewing, but it cannot unseat you. The manipulation is forming, but it cannot touch the seal on your life. Heaven has built a hedge, and Michael is stationed at the gate. No weapon formed will prosper, but the weapon still forms. The test isn't in the weapon. The test is in your response. This hour requires a holy calm, a sacred silence, a refusal to flinch. Do not let their panic become your pressure. Do not let their deception become your distraction. The enemy has already lost access. Now he wants to steal your attention. But you are too close. You are too marked. You are too chosen. Stand in stillness and let the countdown continue uninterrupted. Heaven is counting down in seconds, not years. And your promise is closer than the attack makes it seem. Type "I will not be moved" in the comments if you receive this warning. Blessing code 8844 is surrounding your house and your name right now. Be still. Yes, be still. Not because you're powerless, but because your power is too sacred to be wasted on battles beneath your rank. This is not the moment to respond with flesh. This is not the hour to argue, prove, explain, or defend. Heaven has issued a divine strategy over you, and it is this: withdraw, observe, stay silent, and let the war in the unseen settle what your words cannot. Hear it now in the authority of the Spirit. Heaven fights when you don't. And I know, beloved, I know, every part of your flesh wants to respond. Your heart wants to scream. Your mind wants to confront. You've rehearsed responses. You've drafted rebuttals. But the countdown is too close, and one misplaced word could open a gate that the enemy has been waiting to walk through. Your silence is not weakness. Your withdrawal is not retreat. It is obedience under prophetic instruction. This is the battlefield of the spiritually mature, those who understand that not every fight is fought in the open. There is a warfare happening behind the veil. Armies of fire are now surrounding you. Archangel Michael has already begun the intervention. The angels are not confused. Heaven's strategy is precise. But here's the condition. You must not interfere with heaven's handling of this confrontation. You are in divine protection now, but protection is conditional on obedience. If you step into the fray with emotion, if you allow your mouth to open too soon, if you engage with what God is actively removing, you risk stepping out from under the covering. This is why you've been feeling the urge to isolate. It is not depression, it is prophetic preservation. You've been separated because heaven knows the sensitivity of the hour. Every moment is sacred. Every word is measured. You are in the middle of divine recalibration, and heaven is working silently to reestablish your alignment. The next time you speak, it will be with authority, but not yet. For now, your posture must be low, humble, watchful, because what you think is falling apart is actually falling into place. Withdraw from drama, from voices, from distractions. You are not being antisocial. You are being repositioned for angelic warfare. The warfare that's rising isn't personal. It's prophetic. The resistance you feel isn't just about now. It's about what's next. And if you let God finish what He started, you will emerge untouched, unbothered, and unstoppable. Can you feel it? The stillness is not empty. It is full of angelic movement. There are spiritual hands handling what your mind has been worried about. There are swords clashing in realms your eyes can't see. And every swing is for you. Be still. The whispers of betrayal, heaven heard them. The false accusations, heaven recorded them. The tampering with your timeline, heaven corrected it. Now all that remains is your silence, the final agreement that says, God, I trust you more than I trust my impulse to fight. Let this sink into your bones. Stillness is a weapon. Stillness is submission. Stillness is trust. Stillness is divine warfare through restraint. And if you stay hidden just a little longer, you will witness the fall of every plot against you. Not through your hands, but through God's righteous judgment. You will not have to defend your name. God will vindicate you by what unfolds in public that was resolved in private. Stay silent. Stay still. Stay guarded. And watch, not with your eyes, but with your spirit, as heaven completes what it started the day Archangel Michael detected the interference. You are not unarmed. You are armored in silence and wrapped in victory. Type I am shielded in the comments if you receive this prophetic protection. Blessing code 0990 is now stationed around you. You are not who they think you are anymore. And you are certainly not who the enemy tried to convince you that you were. The version of you that bowed in confusion, that trembled under the weight of silence, that questioned if the heavens had closed, that version has died in the fire. Because what they didn't know is that every interference, every delay, every betrayal, every misstep was refining you into someone unshakable. This delay wasn't destruction, it was divine calibration. And now, what once looked like a stumbling block is about to become your launch pad. The fire did not burn you, it branded you. It did not destroy, it distilled. Every hour you spent on your knees, every prayer you thought fell to the ground, every tear that fell unnoticed by man, all of it was collected in heaven's record books. And now, the very pain that was sent to silence you has become the fuel of your rise. You were not delayed to be punished. You were delayed to be prepared. Because when you rise this time, when the answer lands, when the promise unfolds, you won't be the insecure, doubting version that once feared being forgotten. You'll be the fire-forged vessel who knows that silence does not mean abandonment, and delay does not mean denial. You'll walk into rooms they said you'd never enter. You'll speak with a weight that your past would never have survived. You'll carry a presence that cannot be explained by talent or resume, because it was formed in holy warfare. What the enemy interfered with was never just a moment. It was your momentum. But now, acceleration is being released. Heaven is restoring what time seemed to steal. And the countdown isn't just toward restoration. It's toward redefinition. You've changed. You've evolved. You've emerged from the silent season carrying a new language, a new posture, and a new authority. No longer a victim of interference. You're now a vessel of vengeance, not toward people, but toward every lie that tried to bury you under disappointment. You've become the kind of person who doesn't panic in the silence anymore, because you've learned to hear God in the stillness. This is your divine promotion. Not just into a new blessing, but into a new identity. You are rising now, not in reaction, but in resurrection. From overlooked to overcomer. From delayed to deployed. From weary to weaponized. And the ones who once questioned your timing, they will now witness your anointing in full measure. Not because you sought revenge. Not because you forced doors open. But because you allowed the fire to finish its work. You let the stillness become your strategy. You let the betrayal become your boot camp. And now you fly. You fly on wings of endurance. You rise with authority born in hidden places. You emerge with wisdom that can only be carried by those who have survived storms and said nothing, and yet held on to the word. This is your metamorphosis moment. From ashes to ambassador. From overlooked to overtaken by favor. From counted out to counted on by heaven itself. You are not just a survivor of interference. You are now a signal in the spirit. A signpost. A vessel. A voice. And from this moment on, no one gets to define you by who you were before the fire. Only heaven holds your name now, and it's written in bold across the gates of breakthrough. Type "I am risen" in the comments if you feel this empowerment awakening within you. Blessing code 3030 is now igniting acceleration. Now comes the moment of revelation. The moment where heaven peels back the veil and shows you why the war was so violent, why the interference came with such force, and why the silence seemed unbearable. It's not because God was withholding from you. It's because what was being birthed in the realm of the Spirit was too weighty to be rushed, too holy to be handed over without war, too vast to be wrapped in casual timing. You thought you were praying for a breakthrough, but heaven was dispatching a blueprint. You thought you were crying for a solution, but heaven was scripting a strategy. You were asking for a window, but heaven opened a gate. And the enemy knew it. That's why Satan didn't just whisper doubt. He launched a full-scale disruption campaign. Because the answer to your prayer was not a mere fix. It was a divine unlocking that would release you into a new realm of influence, visibility, clarity, and legacy. It wasn't just about what you needed. It was about who you're becoming. And Satan feared that. He feared that if you received the answer too soon, it would release too much too quickly. He feared that if you stood in your identity fully, it would shift territories. He feared that if you ever saw how God sees you, you would become unstoppable. And now, heaven speaks this word to your spirit with thunderous affirmation. Your name has been spoken in the courts of heaven. Yes, yours. Not because you begged, but because you believed. Not because you shouted louder than others, but because you waited when others walked away. The patience you carried in secret became a banner in the spirit. And now the Father, seated in unapproachable light, has turned the scroll in your favor. Heaven has ruled in your direction. Michael has cleared the airwaves. The interference has been exposed. And now, your season has begun. This is not motivation. This is prophetic documentation. The shift is no longer pending. It has already begun. And while your mind may still be catching up, your spirit has already crossed the threshold. That's why things feel different. That's why your discernment has sharpened. That's why you can't engage in shallow things anymore, because your destiny just deepened overnight. The answer to your prayer was never just provision. It was never just clarity. It was purpose with a pulse. It was a living, breathing movement of God, assigned not just to bless you, but to activate everyone connected to you. That's why the attack came. That's why the countdown matters. Because the interference was an indication of what was at stake. But now you are unlocking. The seals are breaking. The doors are opening. The path is illuminating. And this time, you won't walk, you will run. Because now you know, it was never just about the thing you asked for. It was about the mantle attached to the answer. So rise with understanding. Rise with soberness. Rise with reverence. The heavens have already shifted, and the earth is catching up. This is your unlocking. And nothing can stop what's been decreed. Type "I am unlocked" in the comments if this revelation bears witness in your spirit. Blessing code 4141 is now unlocked over your life. If this prophetic revelation pierced through the fog and reminded you of who you truly are, then hear this divine invitation. Partner with this mission of light. When you support this message, you are not funding a voice. You are fueling a spiritual rescue. Every time someone sows, another person trapped in delay gets clarity. Another soul on the edge of giving up finds their moment of unlocking. When you give through YouTube's Super Thanks, become a channel member, or sow through PayPal link in the description, you activate the very same river that reached you. Your gift isn't random. It's a prophetic alignment. Let your giving become your amen. Let it become a weapon in heaven's hands. This isn't a donation. It's deployment. Type "I sow" for unlocking as you obey. Blessing code 777 is being stamped across your name in the spirit. Now is the time. Not next week. Not next season. not when you feel more prepared. Now, because destiny is not a waiting room, it's a door that only opens to the sound of a yes. And heaven is leaning in. The Spirit is hovering. The angelic host is on alert. And all of creation is watching for your agreement. The interference has been cleared. The delay has been judged. The gates have been opened. And now, all of heaven waits for your next move. Not a passive hope, but an active declaration. Because destiny doesn't respond to potential. It responds to alignment. And your voice is the key that turns the lock. You've cried enough. You've questioned enough. You've waited in silence long enough. Now comes the divine command. Open your mouth and agree with heaven. Say it in the Spirit. Say it in your home. Say it over your bloodline. Yes, Lord. I align. I agree. I obey. The countdown is more than a prophetic clock. It's a test of readiness. Heaven didn't just clear the path for your promise. It cleared the path for your positioning. Because what's about to be placed in your hands requires more than excitement. It requires execution. It requires faith steps, obedient movements, declarations that partner with the word that has been spoken over you. Don't retreat. Don't overthink. Don't wait for another confirmation when heaven is already waiting on your command. You're not stepping into an opportunity. You're stepping into appointment. What's been chasing you? What's been echoing in your spirit? What's been hovering around your dreams? It's not random. It's divine. And it's ready to manifest the moment you take the first step in obedience. Rise now, not because it's easy, but because the resistance was your training ground. What felt like delay was actually divine discipline, shaping your ear, sharpening your spirit, cleansing your motives. You've been refined in the silence, tested in the waiting, and now the weight of your yes carries eternal consequence. When you move, things will shift. When you declare, atmospheres will align. When you act, God will amplify your obedience with supernatural speed. You are no longer walking in hopes. You are walking in holy synchronization. There's a fire beginning to burn under your feet. There's a wind beginning to stir at your back. There's a mantle beginning to descend upon your shoulders. And all of it is contingent on one thing, your yes. This is not the season to stay still out of fear. It's the season to move boldly because of the clarity you've received. The countdown didn't just expose the enemy's interference. It revealed that you're next in heaven's rotation. You've prayed long enough. Now you must partner. You've wept long enough. Now you must walk. You've asked long enough. Now you must act. The heavens are watching, not with judgment, but with anticipation. Because your movement is a signal in the spirit. It says, I'm ready. I'm aligned. I'm in position. And once you move, everything shifts. So rise. Step forward. Declare the word over your life. Walk like someone whose name was whispered in the courts of heaven. Walk like someone who was delayed on purpose so they would arrive in perfect prophetic timing. You're not just being released into blessing. You're being deployed into destiny. Heaven is counting on your yes. Hell is terrified of your yes. And your legacy is waiting for your yes. Type my yes is unstoppable in the comments if you receive this mantle of activation. Blessing code 8181 is now opening doors that had been sealed. Something is happening behind the veil right now. You can't see it with your eyes, but your spirit has already detected it. The pressure you've been feeling, that heaviness in the atmosphere, the sudden shifts in your emotions, the unexplainable sense that something is unfolding, all of it is pointing to a silent exchange in the spirit realm. Transactions are being made. Not with coins, not with contracts, but with tears, obedience, and heaven's authority. What you thought was loss was actually a trade. What you assumed was a delay was actually divine negotiation. While your mouth was silent and your eyes saw nothing, your spirit was doing business with heaven. And the moment Archangel Michael uncovered Satan's interference, a table was prepared in the courts of justice, and your name was called forward. Yes, your name. Not your title. Not your resume. Not your follower count. Your name, as it's written in heaven. And in that moment, the Spirit of God presented your file. Not just your requests, but your endurance. Not just your desires, but your discipline. Not just your praise, but your private pain. Every tear recorded. Every sleepless night documented. Every act of obedience when no one saw you, weighed and honored in full. Heaven speaks now. What was stolen is being returned. What was delayed is being expedited. What was overlooked is now being overtaken by glory. The enemy thought you'd break before the shift. He thought the silence would make you stop praying. He assumed the interference would blind you to what God was setting in motion. But what Satan didn't know is that the Spirit was conducting divine exchanges the entire time. In realms beyond time, where eternity whispers across galaxies, something was transferred. Something was shifted. And it had everything to do with you. In the silent places, God traded your grief for governmental authority. He traded your silence for strategy. He traded your pain for prophetic acceleration. And though your mind may still be catching up, your spirit already crossed over. That's why nothing feels the same. That's why your discernment has gone sharper, your tolerance lower, your hunger deeper. Because even though you didn't see it, you were present in that exchange. Yes, child of God, you were there in the Spirit. Your posture invited heaven's judgment on the interference. Your tears became evidence. Your worship became witness. And the verdict was this: restore, expedite, elevate. Don't let the enemy convince you that you lost anything. Nothing was lost. It was simply transferred. Transferred into a realm where moth and rust cannot corrupt. Transferred into a realm where timing is perfect. Transferred into a place where your name is known not for what you've accomplished, but for how you've obeyed. Now the exchange is closing. The courts are sealing the scrolls. The angels are descending with instructions. And as the countdown continues, you will begin to notice things aligning, suddenly, precisely, undeniably. Doors will open that had no logical key. Answers will arrive without warning. People will come who were nowhere in sight just weeks ago. And you will understand, this was not random. This was the result of the silent exchange. Let peace wash over you now. Not peace born from understanding, but peace that comes from knowing your spirit was seen. Heaven did not overlook you. Heaven fought for you. And heaven has now completed what you could not have done with 1,000 words or 10,000 tears. This is what happens when the courts of heaven rule in your favor. The unseen world moves first, and then the visible follows. So rest now. Watch. Listen. The evidence of what happened behind the veil is already making its way to your door. Type "The exchange is complete" in the comments if your spirit bears witness to this word. Blessing code 5151 is now flowing from heaven's vault to your destiny. Hear this now with unwavering clarity. The scales have begun to tip, and what was done in darkness is about to be judged in light. Heaven has made its decree, and it is irreversible. The injustice you endured, the sabotage that was disguised as silence, the interference that almost broke your spirit, none of it will go unanswered. For we serve a God who is not only a deliverer, but a righteous judge, and he has entered the scene. What was done against you is now under divine investigation. And the verdict has already been written: reversal, restoration, and recompense, in full and with interest. Yes, child of God, you are entering a season of divine reversal. But not just a small restoration of what was lost. No, this will be a tenfold return, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. God is not just giving you what was taken. He is returning it multiplied, purified in fire, amplified in authority, and protected by heaven's signature. For too long, the enemy thought he had the upper hand. He used confusion to cloud your vision. He used delay to weaken your faith. He used silence to make you question your identity. But what he didn't count on was that justice was already in motion before he launched the attack. God allowed the interference only long enough to expose the violators, and now, heaven's court is in session. I declare to you by the Spirit of God, the divine scales are balancing as you listen to this word. Every false word spoken against you is being reversed. Every door that was closed in manipulation is now being unlocked with supernatural favor. Every withheld opportunity, every delayed answer, every stolen moment is now being released back into your life in divine sequence and perfect timing. You will not have to chase vindication. Vindication will come find you. The people who doubted you will have no choice but to witness your rise. The ones who manipulated the process will watch it unfold without their permission. You are not rising through revenge. You are rising through righteousness. And while the enemy tries to sow seeds of fear even now, whispering that it's too late, that you've missed it, that too much damage was done, know this: he's panicking. Because the moment you received the verdict in the Spirit, his permission to tamper with your timeline was revoked. Every plot is crumbling. Every whisper is dying. Every false alignment is being dismantled by angelic force. What heaven has spoken cannot be overturned. The justice you are walking into is not emotional. It is eternal. It's being recorded in realms above the earth. And the reversal is not only for what was taken, it's also for what was never allowed to be born because of the interference. Ideas, connections, mantles, things you never even knew were yours, are now being resurrected and returned. Even now, angels are moving on your behalf. You may not see them, but they are realigning people, places, and timelines. The same Archangel Michael who detected the interference is now enforcing the reversal. He has not left your post. You've wept long enough. You've fought long enough. You've endured long enough. Now let God arise and let every enemy be scattered. Let restoration flood in like a river, uncontainable, undeniable, unstoppable. This is not just your coming. This is your coronation. The enemy tried to delay your answer, but heaven turned the delay into a display of glory. You are not behind. You are exactly on time, by divine reversal. Type "Justice is mine" in the comments if you receive this verdict in your spirit. Blessing code 9292 is now executing divine reversal on your behalf. Now let the heavens bear witness, and let your spirit stand in full agreement with this divine truth. The countdown already started. Not a countdown to disappointment. Not a countdown to failure. But a countdown to the reveal of your ordained breakthrough, triggered the moment Archangel Michael pierced the veil and exposed what had been hidden for too long. This wasn't just a revelation, it was a release. The prophetic switch was flipped. And now, every second is charged with purpose, every moment is laced with motion, and your name is echoing across the chambers of fulfillment. This is not the season to shrink back. This is not the hour to wait for another sign. This is your to rise. You have heard the report. The enemy interfered, but he did not win. The silence of heaven was not abandonment, but strategy. The delay was not denial, but protection. You were not being ignored. You were being positioned. And now, all things are aligning with divine speed. The battles you thought disqualified you have now qualified you for promotion. The tears you cried in secret became the ink of your next scroll. The isolation you endured became the evidence that you could be trusted with glory. Now the heavens decree over your life. You are sealed. No voice from hell can revoke your name in the scrolls of destiny. You are seen, not by the eyes of man, but by the eyes of the Eternal One, who watches over His word to perform it. You are sent, not by culture, not by the approval of others, but by the courts of heaven, where the final word has been spoken over your life. You are rising not because things got easier. You're rising because the King of Glory has stood up on your behalf. This is not just about breakthrough anymore. This is about becoming the answer to the prayers of others, becoming the fire in your bloodline, becoming the proof that delay cannot destroy the anointing, becoming the evidence that God never leaves a word unfulfilled. You're not walking into a new season. You're walking into your appointed manifestation, the one the enemy tried to silence, but couldn't survive. The one that carries weight, oil, fire, and generational consequence. And so I declare this final charge over you. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. Rise with fire. Walk with authority. Declare your yes loudly, because the countdown has already begun. And this time, nothing will stop it. Type "I am sent" in the comments if this final word is your confirmation. Blessing code 0001 has now marked you for divine motion. As this prophetic countdown concludes, remember this. You were not the only one who needed this word. Thousands are waiting for this very revelation, and your support helps carry it to them. When you give, you are not sowing into a platform. You are sowing into divine rescue missions of destiny. Your seed becomes the chariot that delivers fire to dry hearts, the oil that reawakens forgotten prayers. God is calling prophetic partners to help carry this flame. If this message touched your spirit, let it multiply. You can give through YouTube Super Thanks, become a channel member, or sow directly through PayPal link in the description. Let your gift be a declaration in the spirit realm, and not just receiving. I'm releasing. You are not giving randomly. You are fueling the countdown for someone else. This is your one to give with authority. Type ASOW into the countdown and watch as heaven records your obedience. Blessing code 1616 is now rushing to your house with acceleration.